Welcome back everyone, my name is Coxie and this is going to be part 25 in our FPS tutorial series. So before we get started on today's tutorial, I'll just point out I've actually upgraded my Unity version to 2018.3.8 F1, and I think there's actually another new version which has just come out as well, so you can also use that one and upgrade your project to this one as well. Just keep in mind that once you upgrade your project, you cannot use this project in an older version of Unity anymore. So you may want to make a copy of the whole game folder in general, and yeah, just make a backup if you would like, so you can still use that one in the older versions of Unity and the other one in the new version of Unity. So what we're going to be doing today is hopefully a nice quick tutorial. Someone did comment a long time ago that they wanted a kill counter in the game, so I thought this would be a good opportunity to actually show you guys how to use Text Mesh Pro, which is basically the same as using the UI text which is built into Unity, except Text Mesh Pro is a lot better. So I'll show you how to use that, get it working in Unity, and also how we can use it through code as well. So let's go ahead and get started. What we're going to do, if I go to our canvas, I'll just put this on 2D, and on our canvas all we have is our crosshair image, and we have our ammo UI and our health UI, our pickup text and our door text. So what I might do is I'll just make another UI object, and I'll make a let's just make a panel, and I'll call this we don't actually, I was going to use this panel as like a folder to hold it in, but yeah, alright, we'll just do this. So I'll just call it kill counter, and then I'll just make sure I know this is actually a panel. So now this panel, as you can see, takes up the whole screen. So if we just go to the actual color of the panel and then we make that completely, turn the alpha completely off so that it's transparent, and then we can just use this as an actual holder for the game. The reason why I don't use an empty game object is because if you use a panel, you can actually use the anchor presets, and you can, make sure that when you're playing on different size screens that this isn't actually going to affect the game. It's actually going to scale with the actual screen, and you can adjust where you want the actual pivot points for this particular folder. So inside this kill counter, if we go to UI and we go to Text Mesh Pro Text, you'll see it comes up here straight away now. So we don't have Text Mesh Pro installed, so all we have to do is click on here and we'll get Text Mesh Pro, and also you can get some examples and extras here. I'm just going to select the import TMP essentials. Okay, and now you'll see that it's done. Okay, as I said, I'm not going to grab them for now. I'll just get out of that, and here we go. This is our Text Mesh Pro text, and as you can see, it's similar to the normal text that Unity uses, but it displays a lot better on screen, and you have a crap load of options to get the text exactly how you would like. You can still change the fonts, the bold and italic and all that kind of stuff. The alignments. There's a lot of options, okay, that you don't have for the normal text. So yeah, it's really cool. Play around with the settings, and yeah, you can get your text looking pretty decent. So this is just going to be used for an actual counter. So I'm just going to put this as a 0, and I will just center it there and center it there. So I've centered it on the horizontal and vertical axis. And what I might do is I will just select this, and then I'll hold down Shift and Alt, and then I'll click on this top left one here, and now it should be up in the top left of our canvas up there. Also, what I might do is I'll just press W and I'll just actually move that across. I might make the width of this 100, and I'll just move that over there. And then I'll click on the kill counter panel again and then right click and go UI, and we'll do another Text Mesh Pro text. And this can just be title, and I'll just do TMP, and this one can be counter TMP for Text Mesh Pro. So I'm just going to put the title actually above this one, and in our title I'll just click on this, hold down Shift and Alt and do the left again so that we'll put the text there, and change that to say kill count, and then just do an equal sign. I'll just make sure that we move this out a bit so the boxes aren't overlapping, and I might actually for the actual counter I'll actually align that back to the left like so, and the kill counter I need to, the title I need to actually center that as well so it lines up with the actual counter there. Okay, so as I said, you've got lots of options with Text Mesh Pro. So what I'll do is I'll change the color to something like that. You can use color gradients, you can use all kinds of things. So you know, you can mess around with that, and you can do a lot of similar things than what you can do in Photoshop when you're working with text. We can also do an outline. You can adjust the thickness like so. We can do an underlay. You can change the actual face color and the thick and the softness. You can also dilate it. You can do heaps of different things. You've got extra settings here as well. So yeah, you just muck around with it and get stuff looking exactly how you would like. So now we've got that done, I'm just going to Control S and save my game, and then we'll just go into our scripts and our player scripts. Hang on, we don't have any managers in this game. What I might do is I'll just make a new folder and call it managers. And generally you control a lot of the options and things that happen in the game through either a game manager script, or I tend to use a lot of different managers. Like I'll use usually one for UI, so I'll have a UI manager and I'll have my actual game manager. I'll have like a sound manager, all different types of managers, so that you can control a lot of different things through these scripts. And if you wanted to, say, go to another scene during your game, you could actually make sure that all your managers are in the hierarchy, and then you can make sure that they don't get destroyed when you move over to the next scene. So it's very handy to actually have managers in your game. So what I might do is we'll make an empty game object in the hierarchy, and I'll call this game managers, and then I'll make sure I come up to the transform cog and just reset so that we zero out this, because this is just essentially an empty folder. It's an empty game object. And then inside this, what I might do is just create another empty folder and call this one UI manager. And you notice if I'm clicked on game managers and then I right click and create an empty game object, the new empty game object will automatically be zeroed out as well. So just keep that in mind. Make sure when you're creating new empty game objects on top of an empty game object, or you're making them children of it as you create them, that the actual main empty game object, in this case the game managers, is zeroed out first. Okay, so that's all well and good. We have our UI manager, so let's go into our managers folder and we will just create a new script and we'll call this kill counter. Actually, no, we won't do that. We will make a new script and we will call it UI manager, because that was the whole point of me making this here. So go ahead and open up this. And what we'll do is we'll get rid of that. And here in our using, we can say using TM Pro with a semicolon. So this is how we access Text Mesh Pro. You know that when we're using Unity's built-in text, we say using Unity engine.ui. So that's how we would be able to access Unity's normal text and images and stuff like that. But although we probably will use that, I'm just going to use it the TM Pro so we can use Text Mesh Pro. So I'll do a serialized field, and then I've got to remember what it's called. It is Text Mesh Pro UGUI. That's the one. Okay, so instead of writing text to access text like we usually do with Unity's UI, we actually write Text Mesh Pro UGUI, and we can just call this kill counter. Okay, and then what we'll do in here, actually first, we're going to turn this into a singleton so we can access this script really easy. We're going to do a UI manager. I'm going to do a public static UI manager, and we're going to call it, you can call it instance or singleton. We'll call it instance, and then we'll do our void awake. And what we can do is we can say if instance is equal to null, then instance will equal this. So as I was talking about before, when you have game managers in your hierarchy and you go to a new scene, like during the actual game, during runtime, you will actually, you'll need to make sure that your managers actually carry over into the next scene. And you can do this by using a function called don't destroy on load, and we might cover that later on if we're going to do saving and things like that, or have another level in a different scene. But the problem is sometimes you can end up with more than one game manager when you go to a new scene. So we need to make sure if we do go to a new scene during runtime that we only have one UI manager, okay? So this is saying if this is actually equal to null, so this hasn't been actually instanced yet, then we will make the instance equal this. But if it has already made an instance of this game manager, then we want to destroy, because that would mean that we have actually two of these in the actual game, which we definitely don't want, okay? So that's done, and what we might do now is make a public void, and we'll call it update kill counter UI, and what we're going to do is we'll make sure we convert this into an actual string. So we also need an actual integer. So we will do what we'll do is we'll do a hide in inspector, and then we'll do a public int and call this actually change this to kill counter TMP, just so I don't get confused between the two, and then the public int will actually be the kill count. Okay, so this is the actual UI text that's displayed on the screen, and this is actually how we're going to keep track of our kill count. So every time an enemy gets killed, we're going to move this up by 1, and then we're going to update it so that it shows on the UI as well. So this is really easy. All we need to say now is kill counter dot text. You do it the same as if you're using normal Unity text, equals kill count dot to string. So we're going to convert that UI text into a string, and now basically that's all we pretty much need for this at the moment. So you'll notice I did the hide inspector, and the reason I did this is if you go back into Unity and I go to my UI manager and I drag the UI manager script onto there, you'll see that first of all we need to drag in our text mesh pro counter. Actually should call that kill counter, but anyway, it's under the kill counter, it's in the kill counter folder anyway, so that's all good. So back to here, so we've got that in there, but if you do a public int like this and kill count, then that would also be displayed on here, and we don't need the kill counter to be displayed on there, okay, because it's just going to clutter it up. We're going to end up with lots of things in the UI manager more than likely. So you can actually make it a public variable but still hide it in the inspector so it doesn't show. So we'll still be able to access this kill count int from other scripts because it's public, but we don't need to worry about it being displayed here. So now what we're going to do is, all we need to do now is when an enemy dies, we need to make sure that we update the kill count. So that's going to be very easy as well. We'll just go to our enemy scripts, enemy health. So when the enemy's dead, before we destroy the enemy, we'll just say UI manager dot instance dot kill count plus plus. So every time an enemy dies, we're going to add 1 to the actual kill count in the UI manager. Okay, so this is going to go up by 1. And then what we need to also do is writing this will actually make the kill counter go up, but it's not going to display on the actual screen in our Text Mesh Pro UI. So we need to make sure we update that, and that's why we've got this little method here. So we can just go UI manager dot instance dot update the kill counter UI, and we should be good to go. Okay, so if we go back, just save that, make sure I turn it off 2D, go back to the player. Also, there is a lot of differences with the newer version of Unity. I didn't actually explain anything about that. So in these new versions of Unity, the way that we handle our prefabs and things like that is completely different. So I will go over that in the next tutorial as well. Yeah, it's just a little bit different than what we used to do. We now we now have to override our prefabs up here, and you can see now that it knows I've made changes. It actually shows me the changes to the prefab we've made, and then we can just apply like that. And when you're in your prefabs here, if you want to work on actual prefab, like for example the health pack, you'll see it comes up like this now, and then you open it and it actually opens it in its own new hierarchy here, and you can actually work on the prefab just like this, okay? And then you just press back up here to go back. So yeah, I'm still getting used to a little bit because I haven't been using a newer version for that long, but it is pretty cool. It's a little bit weird because it's totally different than what I was used to before, but as we go along and keep making this game, you'll see how to use it, because we're obviously going to be making more prefabs and things like that, and needing to update existing prefabs. Anyway, so in our game now, if you look, you can see we have our kill counter up here. There's our ammunition. We'll work on these and make them look a bit better, but we need to make sure that we have some enemies for a start. So where is my spawn trigger? I'll make sure that I turn that back on, and for the door, I'm going to turn off the is locked, okay? So we don't need a key for the door because the zombies are just going to walk through it anyway. So I'm just going to turn that off. I've shown you guys how to make a locked door if that's the kind of thing you're after, and we will implement that as we build the game out. But for now, I don't want the door to be locked, and I may as well turn on this other enemy as well. So we've got another extra one, and I'll just save that, and then let's go and have a look. And as you'll see, killed the zombie, and then our kill counter has gone up by 1. You can open the door without a key. You see our kill counter is going up. Okay, there we go. So that's an easy way to implement a kill counter using Text Mesh Pro. Okay guys, thanks heaps for watching, and I will see you soon. Cheers.